Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on All India Radio. This is Renuka, and with me is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. External Affairs Minister of India Dr. S. Jaishankar to undertake 3-day visit to Kuwait from Wednesday. India elected to the United Nations Economic and Social Council for a 2-year term starting 2022. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris on a visit to Guatemala and Mexico to signal Biden's administration's immigration policy. Government of India issues revised guidelines for implementation of national COVID-19 vaccination program. WHO cautions against hasty easing of COVID-19 related public safety and social health measures amid encouraging global signs. And in French Open tennis, Slovenian Tamara Zadansek reaches women's singles semifinals. In the wake of COVID-19, we appeal to our listeners not to lower their guard and stay safe and protected by following these 4 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene, and get vaccinated. For providing COVID-related information and guidance to the people, national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075 are operational. And now the news in detail. External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, will be in Kuwait on a 3-day visit from Wednesday. Dr. Jaishankar will visit Kuwait at the invitation of Foreign Minister and Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs, Sheikh Ahmed Nasser Al Mohammed Al Sabah. This will be Dr. Jaishankar's first visit to Kuwait as the External Affairs Minister. During the visit, he will hold high-level meetings and also address the Indian community in Kuwait. There are around 1 million Indians residing in Kuwait. India is amongst the largest trading partners of Kuwait, and Kuwait is a major supplier of oil for India. The year 2021-22 marks the 60th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Kuwait. In recent weeks, the government of Kuwait has been in the forefront to ensure reliable supply of liquid medical oxygen to India to help in its fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, Indian naval ship Tarkash on her 3rd trip as part of Operation Samudra Setu's 2nd Oxygen Express brought in critical medical supplies from Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. It reached Mumbai harbour this morning. In continuation of Oxygen Solidarity Bridge to support India's fight against COVID, Indian naval ships have been playing a crucial role in transshipment of oxygen and other medical supplies from various countries.
India has been elected to the United Nations Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, for the term 2022-24. The ECOSOC is at the center of the United Nations development system and brings together people and issues to promote collective action for a sustainable world. Permanent representative of India to the United Nations, T.S. Tirumurthy, has thanked all member states of the United Nations for their vote of confidence in India for ECOSOC. India has welcomed the adoption of the UN Security Council resolution recommending a 2nd term to United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Tirumurthy, welcomed the development in a tweet. Mr. Antonio Guterres was granted a 2nd term as Secretary-General on Tuesday.
Meanwhile, Maldives Foreign Minister Abdullah Shahid was on Monday elected as the President of the 76th session of the UN General Assembly. In the 193-member General Assembly, 143 votes were polled in his favour out of the total 191 ballots cast. Mr. Shahid will preside over the 76th session of the UN body that will commence in September. Former Foreign Minister of Afghanistan, Dr. Zalmay Rasool, was the other contestant. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has congratulated Mr. Shahid on his election. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar said, "This is a testimony as much to his own stature as to the standing of Maldives." Dr. Jaishankar said, India looks forward to working with him to strengthen multilateralism and its much-needed reforms. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has warned migrants not to come to the United States on her maiden visit as Vice President to Guatemala on Monday. In a televised statement, she said that the U.S. will continue to enforce its laws and secure its borders. The trip to the country and then to Mexico for bilateral talks marks her first foreign outing since she took office. According to reports, her visit focuses on tackling the root causes of illegal migration. The visit also is meant to signal a shift in immigration policy from the hardline approach adopted by former U.S. President Donald Trump.
The death toll in the train accident in southern Pakistan has increased to 63 people, according to officials. The accident occurred when the Sir Syed Express train crashed into the Millat Express in Ghotki district in Sindh province in the early hours on Monday. About 1,100 passengers were aboard the trains. Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan expressed sorrow over the incident on Twitter and said an investigation would be conducted into the cause. This is All India Radio giving you the world news.
3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. Wear face mask, 2 gaz ki duri to maintain social distancing, maintain hand and face hygiene.
Welcome back to the world news. India's Niti Aayog member Dr. V.K. Paul on Tuesday said that all citizens, irrespective of their income status, are entitled to free vaccination. Speaking to the media, he said the revised vaccination guidelines will come into effect from 21st of this month. Dr. Paul said the government has placed an order to purchase 25 crore doses of Covishield and 19 crore doses of Covaxin. Meanwhile, Joint Secretary in the Health Ministry, Love Agarwal, said overall recovery has increased to 94.3%, including both home isolation and medical infrastructure, which is 6.3% overall decrease in positivity from 1st of June to 7th of June. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on the revised vaccination guidelines following Prime Minister Narendra Modi's address to the nation on Monday.
The Prime Minister addressed the country on the very important subject of vaccination amid the raging COVID-19 pandemic. And as we know that till yesterday's updated data by the government, about 23.59 crore doses of the coronavirus vaccine has been administered in the country. The Prime Minister has spoken to the country earlier also during this global health emergency that struck the India in particular early last year. And he also spoke to the country and the citizens through his address, including the monthly Mann Ki Baat radio talk, which is brought to us by the All India Radio. Now, in the latest address of the Prime Minister, which was on June 8th, Mr. Narendra Modi spoke on few more issues and challenges apart from vaccines and vaccination, the most important point being vaccines. So the Prime Minister spoke about how the government is now going to provide free vaccine to all Indian citizens above 18 years of age. 25% of the vaccination that was with the states till now will now be undertaken by the central government or the government of India. Also, he spoke about the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana that has been extended till Deepavali, which is going to be celebrated in the country in November this year. And he spoke also about the nasal vaccine for the children that is in trials. Mr. Sinha, and we know that we as of now have 2 to 3 vaccines in the country, the Covishield, Covaxin and the Sputnik 1. And we have few more in the pipeline. Multiple states have sought a uniform or centralized procurement and distribution system. The PM declared so yesterday when he spoke to the country and said that this will now be a national drive or a mission. Also, I will just bring in very briefly a very recent update of the Health Ministry briefing where the Health Ministry and Niti Aayog officials informed the country that about 25 crore new Covishield vaccine doses and 19 crore Covaxin doses have been ordered. Now, Mr. Sinha, my question to you, what do you see as the issues that were plaguing this entire vaccination drive and the solutions now offered by the PM in his speech?
PM once again has shown to the countrymen that he is leading from the front. He is thinking about the people and thinking about how to get rid of this corona pandemic that the country is gripped in since past 1 year, Nirav. The Prime Minister's address was very eagerly awaited because lots of opposition parties were questioning and first they were demanding that universal vaccination should happen. They said it should be decentralized to the states. Again, they said the centers should buy vaccines. Now the Prime Minister has taken a decision. He has announced that entire country will get free vaccination. That is universalization of vaccination. All the countrymen will get free vaccine. And even those who want to go to private hospitals, they're right. And PM has made provision for that. Because past 1 year, country has witnessed a lot. We didn't even produce the mask. We have read the stories of how duplicate masks were being sold in the country last year when Corona hit India. Now we are self-independent. We are producing masks. We are producing ventilators. We are self-sufficient for medical oxygen. The country led by Prime Minister Modi has created an infrastructure that is example for the entire world. And now the vaccination process will start from 21st of the June, which coincides with World Yoga Day. And it's a good message for the people of the country. The entire country has fought a lot, and PM in his address yesterday has said that don't believe in any of the lies, believe in me. I am leading from the front and we will win the fight against Corona. And that is the message the Prime Minister wanted to give yesterday.
While the government has earlier said that this is once in a century issue, that the calamity that has struck not only India but across the globe, Prime Minister also spoke that Corona is one of the calamities that has as a challenge that has come in 100 years. Now, specifically about the 25% vaccination that was with the states now being undertaken, what is the dynamics of a universal or a national vaccination, Mr. Sinha? How does it go about? So we start with ordering, as I informed our listeners, that only today the new orders for about 44 new crore vaccines post-August administration have been ordered. So how does it go about? How does it roll? And then what is the kind of role of the states in administering it? Also, given the fact that 25% of the lot will also be available for private hospitals and their dosage administration has been capped at the original price of the dose plus 150 of the service charge.
Prime Minister has said announcing his free vaccination yesterday. And now, as far as vaccination is concerned, the 75% of the free vaccination will be provided and will be purchased by the center, and that will be provided to the states, primary health center, government hospitals. And 25% of production of the companies who are producing corona vaccines will go to the private hospitals. And PM even has fixed a line that they can't draw much more than rupees 150 than the prescribed rate limit. That means PM has fixed rates for the people who want to go to private hospitals. I think this is a good sign that nobody is going to pay. Either they can choose between free vaccine, even if they want to go to private hospital, they will not be forced by the private hospitals to pay a hefty sum for their vaccination.
Again, quoting what the Prime Minister spoke to the country yesterday, he recalled that the vaccine task force was constituted when there were just few thousand COVID-19 cases in the country, and vaccine companies were being supported by the government and by way of trials and funding for research and development. Now, we essentially understand, Mr. Sinha, that the country now is largely administering two vaccines, Covishield, Covaxin, and the Russian-made Sputnik, which is in very less numbers, but it is expected that more doses of it will come to the country and a particular private pharma company will manufacture it here. But how do you see the increasing basket of vaccines within India by way of getting more and more vaccines that have been developed world over and being used by the countries in different parts of the world?
A decade back, we didn't produce enough vaccine. We didn't have enough for vaccination for all the countrymen. And even if the Western country produced some medicines or vaccination for some deadly diseases, even then India has to wait for another 2 decades so that Western countries to supply those medicines to India. We have seen this in chickenpox. We have seen this in pulse polio. We are at least 2 decades behind all the developed Western countries. But this time, the Indian scientists and the Indian government has done us proud. Within a span of 1 year, 2 companies produced Covishield and Covaxin. Though at least 7 companies have been given licenses to produce these vaccines now. And after that, the one thing is clear. One nasal drop is being in the third phase of clinical trial that will be useful for entire countrymen, and that will be very beneficial. That the Prime Minister has said Sputnik is making all these stuffs in India. And when Prime Minister is aware, then if third wave strikes 2-3 months later, the country is prepared and most of the population will be vaccinated by then. And the target that begins from 21st June, I think by December, almost entire country will be vaccinated with the first dose.
Yes, while there are different versions of a newer wave or a third wave that may strike the country, one of the important problems or probably issues that is being flagged is also where one side it is a problem of the supply and demand where the vaccines are not reaching the intended beneficiaries. Also, the issue is hesitancy. In large number of parts of the country, multiple news reports and media reports tell us that a lot of vaccine hesitancy has also been developed in urban areas, maybe in some rural areas. So what can be the kind of initiative that not only the government, but we as a community, people at their own level can do to, in fact, encourage more and more take the vaccine? Because as the scientists have already said that no one is safe until everyone is safe.
We have to come forward. We have to think that government can't do everything alone. They can provide us medicines. They can provide us free medicines. But it is us, we the people, who has to be conscious, who has to be alert and come out with large numbers to get vaccinated. Otherwise, vaccination process will prove to be a failure. The people have to come out, and even the government is doing a lot for that. They are seeking help of state governments. They are seeking help of panchayat. So I think the government is trying its best, and we as a country, we as a countrymen, we have to cooperate. We have to come out. We have to fight together to come out of this mess of pandemic.
Right. And to add in the same breath, the Prime Minister, if I can quote the Prime Minister's address and his own words, that those creating apprehensions about vaccination are playing with the lives of people. The second part of the address, or maybe one of the other important points that the Prime Minister spoke about was, Mr. Sinha, was about the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, which was initiated last year after the COVID struck the country. And now what Prime Minister has declared that this will continue till November or the festival of Deepavali, and this is going to benefit about 80 crore people. So with the pandemic, with the first wave, the second wave, the entire coronavirus problem, the health emergency has brought to its people to kind of a misery where jobs have been lost and a lot of unemployment. So how do you see this step, Mr. Sinha, of the central government?
This is going to be of a great help to the poor and downtrodden. I think this is one of the great moves by the Prime Minister, because we have seen since last 1 year, many of the workers, migrant laborers, have returned to their villages. They are yet to return to the cities where they work. I think for them, it's a problem of daily livelihood. And when the government is coming out with the helping hand and healing touch, like this move of providing 5 kg food grain to each member of the family. If there are 4 members in a family, they will get 20 kgs of rice and wheat and dal. I think this is a great move, and because more than 80 crore people of the country who are living below poverty line, who have ration cards, they will get this help from the government and then food grain, and this will help them and ease their tension. And this government's healing touch is always going to help them fight the pandemic.
Opposition parties and also certain quarters that probably were talking in different voices. And if I can quote from the government statement issued after what the Prime Minister spoke to the country, was that the PM dwelled on differing views from various quarters on the entire vaccination drive in the country. So as the corona cases started declining, the questions, as the statement said, arose about the lack of choice for states, and some people questioned as to why the central government is deciding everything. Now, there was also this question, what the PM spoke about was about flexibility in lockdown. And when the entire exercise of vaccination started in January 16th this year, there were certain people who would say that free vaccination, in the midst of all this, the demand for decentralization was raised and decision about the priority to certain age groups was raised. And flexibility in lockdown and one size does not fit all type of argument was forwarded. So how do you see that this entire thing rolling out with the second wave in particular in question, where the health infrastructure was overwhelmed? We saw the kind of problems people had faced. But how does this change the dynamics of how could a better vaccination drive could have been taken in the entire country and different states?
Prime Minister has made it amply clear yesterday that he has talked to his chief ministers and the leaders of the parliamentary parties, all the MPs, and he has taken their suggestions. And after that, he has decided about the priorities of corona vaccination. Prime Minister said that it was on scientific survey that the government decided to vaccinate health workers, frontline workers first, then 60 plus elderly, and after that 45 plus people were allowed to vaccinate. Prime Minister has made it clear that this was made after scientific survey and after consultation with all the opposition parties. So there was divergent views. But even at that time, the free vaccination, the government was providing free vaccination at primary health centers and government hospitals. And the private hospitals were taking some money for Covishield and Covaxin both. Now, the Prime Minister has taken a decision. Prime Minister announced himself, come out and announced that all the countrymen will get free vaccine if they come to the government centers. He has made provisions for those who want to go to private hospitals, and the government is starting this universal vaccination drive from June 21st. Then the process of world's largest vaccination drive that begins from January 16th, population gets vaccinated as soon as early as possible.
One of the points which I found out was very important in the PM's address to the country yesterday was about the supply of vaccine that he said is going to increase in the coming days. So while we understand and we know that the number of vaccines of different companies made globally across the world, the Prime Minister also conveyed that 7 companies are producing different type of vaccines in the country. Trials for 3 more vaccines are in the advanced stage. and also, as you mentioned, Mr. Sinha, was about the nasal vaccine for children. Now, we are also in a phase where multiple states in the last few days, starting June 1st and following days, multiple states, almost all of the states now are now gradually unlocking or going for starting the activities that were hindered because of the second wave. But keeping in mind that the virus is not gone anywhere, the risk of mutation always stands. How do you think, Mr. Sinha, is ensuring vaccine, increasing the bucket of vaccine, availability of vaccine, and also COVID appropriate behavior? This should not be forgotten. I think that is the important point, Mr. Sinha.
Nilab, what Prime Minister conveyed yesterday, dawai bhi aur kadai bhi. That means vaccination process will continue, but the people has to be disciplined. They have to wear masks. District administration, state administration, anywhere, they have to enforce it, but people have to understand that it is the mask that is saving their lives from corona. And people has to understand, because Prime Minister has made it amply clear that he believes in micro-containment zones. He doesn't believe in locking entire district or entire state. When the states are unlocking slowly, Prime Minister has welcomed that and insisted on micro-containment zones. He worries about the livelihood of the people, of those rehdi patri walalos, the small shopkeepers, those vendors. That's why he has said he doesn't believe in lockdown, and he has ensured that a lot of policy decision has been taken in last 4 or 5 months about to give loans to these people, to these rehdi patri walalos from banks. So I think, Nila, the entire thing is going to settle down. People, yes, Prime Minister knows that the second wave of corona was very fearsome. So I think the healing touch is being provided by the government, and Prime Minister Modi is leading from the front. PM's healing touch will ensure that we fight this corona successfully.
Right. So in the end, it remains that while the COVID has not gone away, we have started beginning our lives in it once again. Wearing your mask, washing your hands, and keeping physical distancing along with ensuring that you get your vaccine is very important. Thank you very much, Mr. Sinha, for talking.
Thank you, Nilab.
Now let's take a look at the coronavirus updates from around the world. The COVID-19 cases and deaths in Bangladesh showed a sharp increase on Tuesday as 44 people died and 2,322 fresh corona-positive cases were reported in the country over the last 24 hours. According to the latest bulletin issued by the Directorate General of Health Services, DGHS of Bangladesh, death toll due to COVID in Bangladesh has gone up to 12,913, while total infections have crossed 8.15 lakh. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization on Monday said that the world is seeing encouraging signs in terms of a declining trend in the overall cases and deaths due to the coronavirus in the past few weeks. However, WHO Director General Dr. Tedros sounded a note of caution against hasty easing of public and social health measures in place to prevent the spread of the virus.
With the increased global transmission of variants of concern, including the Delta variant, lifting restrictions too quickly could be disastrous for those who are not vaccinated. But many countries don't have that option because they don't have enough vaccines. In these countries, the continued use of tailored public health measures is the best way to suppress transmission.
The Sensex and the Nifty today ended marginally down amid negative cues from other Asian equity markets. The rupee depreciated 8 paise against the US currency, and global oil prices extended losses to trade below $71 per barrel. A report from the Business World.
The Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange slipped 53 points or 0.10% to finish at 52,276. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange also fell 12 points or 0.07% to close at 15,740. In global equity markets, Asian stocks sparred early gains to close with losses. China's Shanghai Composite Index declined 0.5% and Singapore's Straits Times fell 0.3%. Japan's Nikkei 225 ended 0.2% down, and South Korea's Kospi slipped 0.1%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng closed flat. European shares were trading up in intraday trade. Oil prices extended losses on profit-taking and a stronger US dollar. In intraday trade, Brent crude prices were trading around $70.80 per barrel. Back home, gold prices added 70 rupees at multi-commodity exchange for August contracts. The precious metal rose even as gold prices fell marginally in the international bullion markets. Gold was trading at 49,210 rupees per 10 grams. Silver prices, on the other hand, declined 250 rupees to trade at 71,570 rupees per kilogram for July contracts when reports last came in. And in the forex market, the rupee weakened 8 paise to finish at 72 rupees and 89 paise against the US dollar. Rajesh Lake for World News, All India Radio.
And in the sports roundup, All India Radio brings you the latest news updates from the world of sports through the day. In the French Open tennis tournament, world number 85, Tamara Zidansek from Slovenia became the first women's singles player from her country to enter the semi-final of a Grand Slam event on Tuesday. She defeated Spain's Paula Badosa 7-5, 4-6, 8-6. Zidansek will face either Alina Rybakina or Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova for the spot in the final. And as the countdown begins for Tokyo Olympic, with only 45 days to go for the big games, we profile some of the promising Indian medal contenders. Today we feature India's young athlete, javelin thrower, Neeraj Chopra.
Born on December 24, 1997, Neeraj Chopra is India's biggest medal prospect at the Tokyo Games, despite the history that our country has never won an Olympic medal in javelin throw. The 23-year-old established himself as one of the brightest track and field stars ever since he won a stunning gold medal at 2016 Junior World Championships in Poland. In fact, he broke a junior world record with a throw of 86.48 meters, which was better than distance thrown to win the bronze medal a month later at the Rio Olympics. Neeraj further proved his supremacy in the Commonwealth Games and the Asian Games. In 2019, Neeraj had an elbow surgery. He made an impressive comeback by qualifying for the Tokyo Games with a throw of 87.86 meter at the Ethne League in South Africa in January 2020. Like any other top athlete in the world, Neeraj missed quality competition since then due to COVID-19 pandemic for more than a year now. But he broke his own national record in March this year, throwing a distance of 88.07 meter in Patiala. Aarti Rana, Sports Desk.
In football, India's captain Sunil Chhetri on Monday overtook Lionel Messi to become the second highest active international goal scorer with 74 goals at the AFC Asian Cup 2023 qualifiers held in Doha. Sunil Chhetri struck twice in the closing minutes to hand India a 2-0 win over Bangladesh to revive the team's prospects of advancing from Group A. India, however, is already out of contention for a place in the FIFA World Cup 2022 to be held in Qatar.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Washington Post reports that Colonial Pipeline CEO will address ransomware attack during Senate hearing. New York Times writes that China has approved the Sinovac COVID-19 vaccine for children as young as 3 years old. The Globe and Mail reports that French President Emmanuel Macron was slapped during a visit to a small town. South China Morning Post reports that Hong Kong lawmakers to be fined 3,400 Hong Kong dollars for skipping Legislative Council meetings under proposed rule changes. And the Himalayan Times reports that Nepal's COVID-19 recovery rate increases as caseload nears 6 lakh. A quick look at the headlines once again. External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, to undertake 3-day visit to Kuwait from Wednesday. India elected to the United Nations Economic and Social Council for a 2-year term starting 2022. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris on a visit to Guatemala and Mexico to signal Biden administration's immigration policy. Government of India issues revised guidelines for implementation of national COVID-19 vaccination program. WHO cautions against hasty easing of COVID-19 related public safety and social health measures amidst encouraging global signs. And in French Open tennis, Slovenian Tamara Zidansek reaches women's singles semi-final. India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnavajan, by artists from Maldives.
वैष्णवजन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पर आए जाने रे
वैष्णवजन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पर आए जाने रे
with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.